What is it about for you now? Where are you at? We can go a little bit deeper into that, but where are you at right now? And especially in terms of your business and being an influencer, being a content creator.
Well, of course, everything has changed in my life. I have become a mother for the first time, and that completely shifted my value system. Right. And so, well, guys, I also turned 30 like last week.
Yep. Happy birthday.
So I'm in a new decade now.
Yeah.
And it's interesting turning 30. I actually have never, felt any negative emotion towards birthdays. I celebrate my birthday. I think it's amazing. Another year, because it's another year that I've gained wisdom, knowledge, I've grown, and I have another year of life. So I thank God for that. But anyways, turning 30 I got to this point of deep reflection because I'm like, wow,
reevaluate
10
things.
years of my life, because the last 10 years have been very significant. In the last 10 years, I met Stefan. I was 20 years old when I met him. And that was like an incredible...
So we've almost been together 10 years coming up in May.
Almost 10 years, guys. Which, by the way, guys, if I may say so, one of the reasons that I want to do this podcast with Stefan is because I personally find so much value in discovering couples who are creating content online, because there's not a lot of couples doing this. And I always think that it's good to have references in your life, especially, people who can be positive role models when it comes to relationships. So I do think that there are going to be people who feel the same way. And so, I mean, we've been together 10 years and we've learned a lot through that experience so far, especially the last 10 months.
You shared pretty much a whole decade of your 20s with me.
Yes, exactly. And so anyways, starting 20, and then I, discovered building my business, and I built that business, and, I became very successful with that business. I became a millionaire by 23, multi-millionaire by 24. And I don't say that to boast, but because it really is obviously a very big deal for me. That changed my entire life. It changed my view on what's possible. And then, and just traveled the world with you, literally had so many amazing experiences while growing my business. I didn't have to choose one or the other because it's online, and that's the beauty of online business. That's why I'm such an advocate for online business. And we got married, and now we have a son, beautiful baby Lucas. He's 10 months old now, and he is the greatest joy in my life. I seriously...
It becomes your life, essentially.
Yeah, he is my life. But I get so much joy just from looking at him. I don't know if every mom... I'm sure every mom feels this way.
The hormones, oxytocin.
But not even just that. I just look at him and he gives me the biggest smile. It's not, it's a big smile or no smile at all. And he just beams. And then I just every day feel so much joy through having him. And it's such a beautiful experience. But because of this, everything's changed in my life now. My values have changed. And so I've been trying to figure out, what do I want to do? I'm out of the thick of having a newborn, which is a very challenging time, and maybe we can talk about that later. But now he's 10 months old, and I have more time on my hands. I have more flexibility, availability, and I'm trying to figure out, do I want to get back into my business? And if so, what's that going to look like? And I came to the conclusion that for me, being a mom is my top priority. I want to dedicate my time to being a mother, but I also get a lot of value from being a content creator. And I like who I get to become as a content creator because I get to really grow from the experience. When I teach something, I learn it twice. And so I find myself trying to learn things more. I read more books. I listen to more podcasts. I do more because I know in the back of my mind that I might teach something.
You're always doing that. That's been your nature, to always be learning, growing.
Yeah.
So this gives you an outlet to share.
Exactly. That. And so I realized that's the greatest value that I get from what I do as a content creator. Aside from, the money and the flexibility, all of that, of course that's great, but really personally, I get to grow. And because I've been away from that for 10 months, I haven't really created content. I noticed that, I've been busy raising a baby, but I've noticed that I crave getting back into that type of growth, right? And so I want to continue doing content, but now it's going to be different. It's not the same motivations and intentions as I had before. I'm not trying to get X number of subscribers and trying to build a business. Now it's I'm just going to create content purely because I want to, and I'm just going to talk about things that I'm interested in. Yeah. And so that's, how this podcast is coming about now.
Yeah, and I think that's what is the most authentic way of doing it. Otherwise, I think, when you're first building a YouTube channel or a podcast or building a business in general, you have to really kind of focus on what people want, identify your niche, stay within that niche. You have to really try to deliver a certain type of content that allows you to get the most attention, the most views, the most growth, the most subscribers. You have to nurture that audience. There's a lot that goes into building something to that point. But I think you're at a point now, and myself, where, because I think if you're always just doing that and you kind of stay restricted within that niche and this is what you need to talk about, but you've outgrown that, then it's very difficult to sustain that. And
you get fatigued.
You have to evolve your show, your podcast, your YouTube channel. It has to be in alignment with you and the stage of development and where you are. And so part of that might mean that you might lose subscribers. Some of you guys listening might be at a different stage of where Tatiana is or where I am. And so you might not be as interested in some of the things that we're talking about, but you're either then always trying to cater to, certain things from your past, which are inauthentic, or you have to decide, I'm going to evolve. My subscribers will evolve. I'll attract new subscribers. But at the end of the day, you're a human being and there's different stages of development that you go through, and you are your business essentially. And so it has to evolve in order for it to be sustainable. Otherwise, that's why both of us kind of took a big break from it as well. Because it's kind of tiring talking about the same things over and over again. If you're not doing it, if you're not in those trenches, if you can't relate to it, if it doesn't give you joy anymore. And so you have to make it sustainable.
And not just us, there's a ton of content creators, YouTubers who they had built up this huge subscriber base, put a lot of time and effort into it. And all of a sudden you just see them stepping away from that business and you wonder what the heck happened? Why would they just walk away from all of this? And they just got fatigued. And it's because of exactly what you said. You're continuing to create content and trying to continue to do the things that you were doing before, and you're really trying to just create things for others, which you need to do in the beginning, don't get us wrong, but at a certain point you have to create what makes you happy. Otherwise what are you doing it for?
And I think a lot of people, they've never we haven't really experienced long careers as content creators and influencers because it's a relatively new career. I've been doing it now for 12 years. Back in 2012, that's when I started Project Life Mastery. So for me, it's been over 12 years since I started, and I've changed and I've grown tremendously since then. I'm in a very different stage of where I was when I was first starting, when I was talking about, I remember, when I was just kind of in those earlier stages, making money, Kindle publishing, building my blog and all that sort of stuff. I don't have that same focus. I don't need to at this stage. I don't need to try to make money doing the things that I was doing before. It doesn't need to be as much of a focus or emphasis for either of us. And I think part of it too is we both, I think, achieved a certain level of success where we're both privileged to have become financially free. We've both gotten to a point where we've saved enough, we've invested enough, our net worth is at a certain number where we literally never have to work another day of our lives. We never have to make any more money from any active business activity. We've built our nest egg, we've built our assets. They're producing passive income for us that will continue for decades and decades and decades, a much more sustainable source of passive income than what a business provides, which still kind of depends on someone, but through our real estate, through our stocks, our ETFs, our index funds, all of that. And so it's amazing to get to that point, and I think very few people ever do. And when you get to a point of that financial abundance and freedom, one of the greatest benefits that provides for you is it makes you reevaluate your life and determine, look at everything that you're doing and ask yourself, do I really want to do this? Is this something that I really want to do right now? Do I really want to do this, or am I just doing this because it's what makes me money, or is what caters to my audience, my subscribers, my business? And in many ways, a business, a YouTube channel, a podcast, it actually inhibits someone's freedom because you've kind of now created this identity for yourself that you are this person, and you've have this pressure and this responsibility to subscribers and your audience to put out content on an ongoing basis. And it's very difficult then to then walk away from that for several months, because it kind of traps you in a way.
You put yourself in a box.
And the same thing I found even with my business before, when I had 15 employees. It kind of also limits your freedom, because you have to keep the vision going. You have to drive and lead the business forward. You have to always create projects and work for your employees to do. You have to pay them. You have to keep them engaged. You have to manage them. And so, it doesn't really necessarily allow you to say, you know what, tomorrow, I don't want to have a business. I want to go off and travel Thailand for a couple months or whatever. Like, no, you have this responsibility that you have to. I think in many ways that the point I'm getting to is like the point we've gotten to. It's really interesting when you get to this point of financial freedom, because it makes you reevaluate everything. And you're like, yeah, do I really want to create another YouTube video on, how to get started selling on Amazon for the 20th time? Even though I know that's what's going to get a lot of views, people are going to love it, people want that, they ask you for it, but you're like, well, do I really want to do that? No, what I really want to do is do a podcast, talk about what I want to talk about, share things that I think are interesting, what I'm learning, how I'm growing. And sure enough, there'll be people, of course, that will be interested in that, because you're still sharing a lot of value, but it's kind of, people can follow along your evolution.
Yeah, and the general rule of thumb when you are creating content is that when you are starting off from zero, you need to start niche. You need to figure out what it is that you're going to create content about, and create short form videos, and you build yourself up, because when you're first starting out, nobody is going to invest 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour of their time to listen to you when they don't know what value it is that you have to share. So you want to start niche, you want to start small, but as you start to build out your following, your subscriber base, then you have more of an opportunity to broaden the subjects that you're talking about and create longer form content. And so here we are today where, I can't tell you how many times I have people who want me to just talk about all these random things that have nothing to do with the niche that I started off in, because they just want to know more about my life and what I'm doing. They're just curious. And so we get this opportunity now to talk about different things, which is really beneficial for us, because again, we want to talk about things that we're actually interested in and not be stuck in a box. Yeah.
And there's always, for us, we both always had, there's like a core base of followers, subscribers. They're really interested in you and they're interested in me. And they want to listen to things like this. And then there's the more casual subscribers, I'd say, the people that would, the videos that you do that get hundreds of thousands or millions of views, people that watch your content once in a while, but they're more in it just for that content related to business or whatever it might be. They might not be interested as much just in that. And that's okay. And one thing that I think that's very freeing about being in a position now and how we're going about this is we don't care about money. We don't care about views, subscribers, all of that. We both know if we wanted to get a lot of views, if we want to get a lot of subscribers, we know the formula for that. We know the recipe for that. We know the topics, we know the headlines, we know the thumbnails and all that, but that's not our goal. We're not opposed to that. We're not opposed to, I'm sure money and subscribers, all that will come, but we're not as much obsessed as we originally were when we first started to publish what's going to get the most views. And it's nice to be content with that and satisfied just with, whoever wants to listen is what, who listens.
Well, I'm sure that who's listening is probably like, oh, that must be really nice. It must be really nice to be in that position. Well, and it is, it's true. Like, I get that. But that's the goal, right? The goal is to get to this place where you can just authentically do what you want to do when you want to do it. And, again, like the motivations for starting our businesses in the beginning was a need. There's a need to make money. There's a need to get out of the survival mode.
Create success.
Exactly. And now we just don't have those same motivations anymore. So it is nice, to be frank, it is nice to be in this position, but we work to get here. This is the result, not of just some fluke, some accident, stumbling into success. This is the result of being laser focused and being very clear on what it is that we want for our lives. It's the result of having a clear vision of what we want for our lives, and then breaking that down into specific goals and achieving those goals and working our way towards that vision. And this is a shared vision. Stefan and I, when we first met 10 years ago almost, we sat down and we said, what do we want for our lives? How do we want that to look? And we both talked about having the dream of living on a beach and being free. And literally that's what we manifested here right now. And it didn't manifest just because we said we wanted it. It manifested because we knew we wanted it. We got the clarity, but then we also took actionable steps over the years to work towards this.